All right, guys, welcome back to another Talking Head video. Today, I want to discuss something that is very annoying to me about the gun community, and that is the shaming that you get for LARPing. And that is something that I want to address because it is very annoying and very frustrating about the gun world, is that if you LARP or you wear your gear when you train, you wear your helmet, your plate carrier, your war belt, immediately you're a cringe lord, and you know, there's no place for civilians to be doing that, or you weren't in the military, so why are you wearing that gear? You're a wannabe. But before we get into all that information, if you guys want to support the channel, there are really 3 simple ways to do so. The first way is free. It's just liking, commenting, or subscribing. Super cheesy, but we work here in a taboo space on YouTube. So if you guys do want to help me out, help the algorithm out, drop a like, drop a comment down below, check your subscriptions. It really is helpful. So thank you guys for doing that. Another way, if you guys need any gear, you want any gear, and you want to save some money, you could use my discount code at Brownells. It's RDB10, saves you 10% off at brownells.com. And the last way is heading over to RangeDayBro.com for t-shirts and merch and things like that. So now that we got that all out of the way, oh, and lastly, if you want to DM me, hit me up on Instagram. It's RangeDayBro on Instagram as well. And you can ask me questions about builds or just say what's up, whatever you guys want. So anyways, let's start talking about the absolute negativity that comes along with civilians wearing gear and training. And it's come a long way even since I joined this Second Amendment space more seriously in 2018. It's come a long way since then, from the FUDs of old, which were like, hey, you guys, you know, we all know a FUD in our life who are still against red dots on pistols and whatnot. But it's come a long way from that to where we are today, which you have a lot of guys like Lucas and like Orion Training Group and like Iran Thumb and all these big channels that are really encouraging more civilians to train seriously and wear gear and have body armor and have a war belt and have night vision, know how to use all of it in conjunction. And so that's come a long way. So I'm not saying this is all like doom and gloom, but one thing that I've noticed and what I've learned since I joined the Second Amendment space, excuse me, is that if you are a civilian, you don't have a background in military, or you know, in the teams or as a ranger or whatever, just being a regular door kicker in the military, then and you're wearing gear, you know, there was this whole controversy back, you know, however many years it was, 3 or 4 years ago, with Dakota Meyer and what he said. And I'm not here to discuss that incident in particular, but that is kind of the sentiment. It's like, you're out there LARPing, you're a piece of crap, you don't know what you're doing, you're useless, you'd never make it in a real war. You know, there's no reason for you to be doing that. You're just a cringe lord and you're just LARPing to look cool on Instagram. And I just want to destigmatize it. Number one, like, no, fuck that. Like, if you are a serious person about your freedom and about the Second Amendment, then you should be training. And you should be training with your gear, because the first time you wear your plate carrier shouldn't be when you actually need it or when you're going into a battle. It should be when you're on the range, when you're on a flat range. You're not going to know what works for you if you don't actually use it. So practice like you play, or practice like you want to play rather in this situation. But let's dissect this a little bit further. So what do I want to encourage on my channel? I want to encourage respectful, law-abiding people. I hate the term law-abiding. I want to encourage good people to have guns and train with guns, regardless of their backgrounds, whether they're a doctor, a lawyer, a guy who stocks shelves, a Uber driver. If you're a good person, and most people are good people out there, I want to encourage you to come into the Second Amendment community and train seriously. And when you pass that threshold of like being a entry-level guy like I was for the longest time with just a few rifles, and you know, I had an optic, I had a light, and you pass that threshold into getting into slings and you have a chest rig, and you want to start training in drills, and you're not going to the range just to pop off a couple rounds with your buddies and just have a good time. You actually go with the intention of training. That hump to kind of come over is kind of intimidating to a lot of people, and including myself. I struggled with this for a long time when I started the channel, because a lot of people would say things like, hey, what qualifications do you have to tell me how to run my guns or how to train or how to set up this or that? And the answer is I have no qualifications. It's just what works for me. This is all I'm doing, is putting out as much information as I can, trying to give back to the community, the guys on YouTube who gave so much to me, because I was on a fixed budget. I didn't know what I was doing, no military or law enforcement background. And guys like John Lovell at Warrior Poet Society taught me a lot about how to draw my pistol from appendix. And I watched endless hours of YouTube videos on how to draw, how to hold my rifle, a better pistol grip, you know, better grip for your pistols. I mean, everything I learned from the YouTube University. So, and I've since obviously taken a lot of courses and gotten to shoot with a lot of experienced guys who've showed me a lot of things And just through my own practice, my own drills, and holding myself to my own standards, I've gotten much better since 2018, obviously. However, it was intimidating, and it was, especially for me starting the YouTube channel, kind of, how do I say this? I kind of felt like a phony. I felt like I had this imposter syndrome. Like, why do I have this big following on YouTube when I have no military background? We all know there's guys, and this is not throwing shade on anybody who's in the military or in law enforcement, but we all know there's guys who put up the videos, Navy SEALs 14-5 setup or whatever it is. They put their title and then they put what the video's about. And again, I've fallen into that trap in the past. I didn't really want to hear what someone had to say unless they had that military background, because growing up as a 90s kid and playing the video games and watching all the movies, I looked up to those special operators as well. Like, those guys were those guys were the cool guys in my book. So it's nothing against that. I'm not saying it's wrong, and I'm not trying to put those guys down, but we need to be lifting up and ensuring that we're not just discounting people or discouraging people who are just regular civilians from training. And shout out to Dirty Civilian as well, great YouTube channel. Those guys are great, and we need to be encouraging regular people to train, and to train as the Second Amendment intends, which is not for a home defense situation, it's not for hunting, and it's not for sport. It's for defense of freedom from tyranny, foreign or domestic. So that involves plate carriers, that involves night vision and body armor, and that involves a war belt, and it involves tactics. Forget the gear, it involves the skill set to go with the gear. But if you don't wear your chest rig, your plate carrier, or your war belt, you're not going to know how it works and fits and how to maneuver around it until it's too late, until you need it, until you put it on, and you're not going to have an experience with it. So I want to just destigmatize LARPing, for lack of better terms, and people need to be training with their gear at the range instead of just having it to sit on the shelf and look cool and pretty. So it's not to encourage people just to buy gear and let it sit on the shelf just to flex on Instagram with it. It's definitely not for that. This video is to encourage people to have the proper equipment and the skills and the know-how, and to actually use that equipment, because that's the way you develop those skills and the know-how with that equipment. So with that being said, I wanted to just touch on one comment which has been left on my channel many months ago, probably a year and a half ago at this point. And it was the one comment that kind of really got me. It really stuck me good, because it was 100% true. But the way the guy said it was just like, it just made me grit my teeth a little bit, because this is kind of summarizes what is wrong with the whole sentiment in the Second Amendment community. The comment was, this guy has less combat experience than Kyle Rittenhouse, which is absolutely true. I've never been in a gunfight, and I'm blessed and grateful for that. However, that comment is exactly what is wrong with this whole topic, because this person, this faceless, nameless coward of an individual who probably has never been in a gunfight, most likely never been in a gunfight in his entire life, although I'm sure he'd claim different, is throwing shots at me, somebody who's just trying to better themselves and trying to put good information out there and transfer knowledge, whatever little knowledge I have, to you guys. And he's just shitting on me in the comment section, because it's so easy to do so. The internet brings out the worst in people so often. But with that being said, the guys who have been in gunfights, the top tier operators, all started somewhere. Now granted, they have some of the best training in the world from guys who have been in combat, but the GWOC guys, a lot of those guys were trained by guys from Vietnam, because that was the last major conflict that the United States was in. So there was a long pause, a long gap between conflict, which is amazing. I'm anti-war 100%. I think we need to chill on the wars. But those guys are learning from guys who had tactics from the 70s, and maybe, I guess, Desert Storm and whatnot. But they're learning from guys who have combat experience, and now they have combat experience. But at the time, they had never been in a gunfight either. It doesn't mean you shouldn't train. You think that they just hung up their boots and was like, oh, we've never been in combat, so why are we going to train? It's like, no, everyone obviously starts somewhere. Even the best of the best started somewhere. And the best place for you to start is right where you're at. Just start slowly, incrementally, getting better. It's you versus you. Every day make yourself better, whether that's by fixing your diet, fixing your sleep schedule, fixing your mentality, your mindset, your exercise and getting in shape, and obviously shooting, your tactics, and all that stuff. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, don't let the trolls of the internet stop you from being better and being the best version of you that you can be. Wear your gear to the range, LARP on kings. Like, don't let anybody stand in your way. And if you can, bring friends along. If you can, get a group of guys together to go to the range with and actually train with, and know how each other operate together, teach each other things, build from each other. That's really what I'm trying to build here in my own community. I have a group of friends that we've gone to the range a few times. I'm trying to turn it from this friendly, just, hey, let's show off each other's guns and whatnot, to, hey, let's actually run some drills and let's get a little competitive spirit and also some training involved in those trips and make it a beneficial knowledge transfer instead of just a, hey, let's blow off some steam sort of deal. So I want to really encourage you guys to bring more people in, whether they're gun people or not. You know, if they don't own guns, they might be one day if you take them on a really cool range trip, show them stance, show them a grip, and then show them that they're capable of hitting out to 400 yards, especially if you have a place you can go shoot distance. That's one of the funnest things to do with new shooters. So anyways, this is not to put down anybody who's been in the military. Thank you for your service. I'm very grateful for our military. I love the United States. I'm a huge fan of our country. I think it's the best country in the world. However, we need to, as a community, be better about not discouraging people and just calling people cringe and trolling people for trying to better themselves and wearing their gear and seeing what works and what doesn't. That is what it's all about. So anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I appreciate you staying to the end. If you like these conversation style videos, let me know down in the comments, because this is a new format I'm doing, but I really enjoy it. So I hope you guys do enjoy it as well. If you want to support the channel, Brownells RDB10 discount code for 10% off over there. We got RangeDayBro.com, and then liking, commenting, subscribing is a huge help as well, guys. Thank you so much. And lastly, if you want to talk about anything, just say what's up. You can hit me up on Instagram at RangeDayBro as well. Thank you guys. Love you guys so much. Have a good day.